What's going on, guys? It is Friday, July 23rd, in the eve of UFC Vegas 32, which takes place tomorrow night, with the return of TJ Dillashaw as he takes on Corey Sandhagen in a really fun undercard of a lot of, us hardcore fans I think will appreciate it. Maybe not as many names that reach outside our MMA bubble, but I'm personally a big fan of the card, and I thought we were going to talk about that quite a bit this week, but you guys are still buzzing about Conor McGregor, and that's what most of the questions are about, and love it or hate it. You know, you guys ask the questions, I answer them, so let's jump into it with a question from Ugly Heat Fan. Would Conor and Tony warrant a pay-per-view, or would that be added onto a mega card as a co-main? Maybe Francis versus Lewis Gane winner co-main. I'm going to tweak your question a little bit here, right? So, I mean, Conor versus Tony, I think at this point in time would still be a headliner. And I think that would honestly be the case with any Conor McGregor fight at this point. Maybe down the line, if he were to lose like 5 more or something, they would maybe could slide him into a co-main event with a big star if there was somebody on the rise. But right now, I don't see anybody that could be. And I don't see Conor's drawing power being anything less than a mega pay-per-view headliner. I mean, the guy reportedly sold the second most pay-per-views ever in his last performance, despite coming off of a loss. And I expect him to that star power to continue. I think that as ugly as the end of the last fight was, he does an excellent job of making people talk about him and trying to insert, even if some of us, like myself, don't necessarily believe some of the stuff that he says, I think he gets people riled up and he gets people talking, and that's the point. I don't see a day where Conor McGregor is a co-headliner against Tony, against anybody. Second question from @they_fight. If Dustin wins the title, how confident are you that the UFC will give Conor a title shot after being 1-3 in his last 4? If yes, how do you even sell it? I don't think he'll get the title shot immediately, even if he sits out and waits, even if Dustin wins the belt. You know, I think that they're going to have to build Conor up, and I think that the Nate Diaz fight is the perfect tool in order to be able to do that. I think Dana White kind of even hinted like, hey, Conor's going to have to get a win before he gets right back into a rematch with Dustin, a 4th fight. I think the UFC's down for that 4th fight, but just not now. I think that they want to build Conor up and make sure that it's not one of these things where Conor's just going to keep taking L's. Next question, again from they_fight. Do you think Dana White would ever entertain Islam versus Conor, given that he has salivated a rematch with Khabib for so long, and this is the next best thing? Maybe down the line, but I don't think right now. I don't think that, again, that wouldn't do much for Conor's rebuild. That wouldn't do much, I don't think, for his star power. And that's the most important thing, I think, to the UFC right now, is getting Conor a win, or having him fight somebody that he can beat at least. So I think the Islam matchup would be, interesting in that Islam is Khabib's underling, but at the same time, I think stylistically it's a nightmare for Conor. We saw how that first fight against Khabib went, and I don't think that's what the UFC is looking for at this time. Last question from Motivated Holland. Predictions for the headliners and locations for the rest of the pay-per-views. Interesting question. I'll do my best mixing what I think is going to happen with what I know is going to happen, but UFC 265, August 7th, we know that's in Houston. UFC 266, we know is in Vegas. That one with Ortega and Volkanovski as the main event, and Shevchenko versus Murphy as the co-main. So that brings us to UFC 267, which will take place in October in Abu Dhabi, with Glover versus Jan Blachowicz, and probably Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan. Seems like that's the direction the UFC wants to go. And then November, UFC 268 will be in New York, and that's where things start to get a little bit foggy. But maybe Israel Adesanya, that would be a good one. I don't know when Charles Oliveira will be back with Poirier. I would assume that might take place in December in Vegas. It sounds like that they want to have that fight in Vegas. So UFC 269, likely in Vegas in December. That would maybe be a good headliner. And then you got Brandon Moreno, I think, will follow within that timeline as well. And it'll be interesting. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with the heavyweight fight in August? Like, somebody could have a quick turnaround and, have a unification bout with Francis at the end of the year. It's really tough to predict, but I would say we're going to have alternating Vegas pay-per-views through the end of the year, with New York, Abu Dhabi, and Houston also sprinkled in there. So that should do it for this week, guys. I appreciate everyone that sent in questions. We got fights tomorrow night. We got John Morgan, Ken Hathaway on the ground. Tonight, we have Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. We'll have Danny Segura in Tampa, Florida for that one. And keep it locked to MMA Junkie, guys. You know we got you covered.